Hi everyone, so I'm cooking some mixed veggies, green beans, green beans. I put a can of sliced carrots and also the mixed vegetables. And I bought some pumpkin, but I don't really know how to cook it, so I just put it on standby. And the great thing about this is if you guys are doing this to eat on a budget, it doesn't expire till 2023. So it has a super long shelf life. It's worth the investment. All these are really. So, if you don't eat a certain amount of it for one day, you guys can, insert it for a future date in your calendar. Anyway, so I started recording this because I noticed something. Not because I'm cooking. Oh yeah, and I also put some premium blend oil in there. Anyway, so what I noticed is the moisture that gets converted, because I also put in there a bottle of Crystal Geyser. So I put a 16.9 fluid ounce thing of water in there. And basically what I did is I drained out all the water, the fluid from the cans that were in there by default. I opened it and I basically drained all the water from each one. I poured the Crystal Geyser water in there, and then I poured like 3 or 4 teaspoons of this premium blend soybean oil and extra virgin olive oil in there, and I'm planning on letting that cook until the water completely evaporates, and then I might add like 2 more teaspoons of oil in there. So that's what I'm planning on doing. So they won't be like super moisturized, but I want them to get dehydrated. So they're going to be a little bit toasty and cooked, like well cooked, not semi-cooked, Anyways, so I noticed as I was here, and I noticed this a few days ago or whatever. I just never recorded a video about it, but I noticed that the air bubbles, when they pop, it has to do with the air bubbles and the hot water that produced this gas. Because what's happening is that the water is getting mixed with the air molecules, and they get stuck. They get stuck and cling to the air molecules. So that's how we have the vapor, right? So I'm saying all this because if you guys out there are trying to create a better and more efficient water distilling machine, you guys would need to somehow add a bubbling system, or not just that, but it's also in the design of your container. If you have a flat container at the bottom with the bottom smooth base, you're not going to get that much bubbles. If you have a container with a bunch of sharp, like pyramid type of little embezzlements, then it's going to create a lot more bubbles. So you guys would have to research on that and create the most effective way to create the bubbles inside of the container. But one thing I did notice is if it's super, super pointy, like a sharp needle, then that's where you're gonna get the most bubbles. So, and also it's safe because it can be designed where no one can stick their hand in there. So it will be clean solely or entirely with chemicals, like a acid. So there's videos on that. They use white distilled vinegar and citric acid liquid inside of these containers to clean up all the junk without them having to scrub. And then you guys can throw like little grains of sand to like agitate everything with a vibrator or something. So, no one will get hurt or injured. So I think the design, just with the little pyramid things all the way around, and if they're sharp, it will create a lot of air bubbles. And like I said, this type of idea would have to be experimented on, but I think that your water purification will get at enhanced by like 50%, if not more. So that is my theory. So remembering that the inside is smooth, right? But if you guys create something with a lot of little, like a pattern surface all the way, pattern walls, then you guys will get more of the bubbles. And I think it's the bubbles that play a huge factor in the vaporizing of the water. The more air bubbles, the better it is for your system. So to prevent it from prolonging the process and you inserting your own air into it that's cold, it will obviously cool down the water. So your air bubbles, your oxygen would have to be super, super, super hot. It cannot be cold or lukewarm. It has to be super hot. So that will also play a factor in the water evaporation. But if you don't want to do the air bubble thing, although you can do both, you guys can just alter the smooth surface to a more creating more of a design for the air bubbles to form and come up. So I hope I explained that correctly. And I really don't have anything that I can illustrate, but I mean, patterns are everywhere. Like the wall, this, paper towels. I mean, you name it. And also maybe testing this on a vial with the designs. So, or like clean water with a camera looking into it to really monitor what's really going on. But I think that by us doing that, I believe that we will save a lot of money and reduce the amount of time that it takes or that is required to distill the same amount of water formally with this new approach. So I think, like, even if, like, see, I've seen this right here. Even if you guys add a metal basket in there, like this is metal with these little designs here, even that can create that reaction, the stirring of the water, which will cause more air bubbles. Like, what else will help? Like, if the bubbles were somehow up here getting popped with like a fan, that would also help. So breaking of the air bubbles, breaking them up, would play a factor in that as well. So anyways, just wanted to share these ideas for more advanced, more enhanced water distilling units on the market for today's date and the future dates to come.